He's generated 65 million impressions in like 28 days.
Amazing.
Do both of them get that type of boost, or is it only the TikTok style?
The ones that I've noticed get a weird boost are when I was leaving my 9 to 5 and I was thinking about, using a time sensitive offer, and Claude was like, no, don't do that. That's not smart. That's insensitive. Whereas I don't think ChatGPT would think about that.
How interesting.
Are you struggling to stand out on LinkedIn? Charlie Hills is your guy. Charlie uses AI to create content that skyrockets LinkedIn presence. He is the owner of Cognified that has generated 10 million plus impressions and 2 million plus user reach.
I sucked at English at school, so that just changed the game for me. I don't think I would be able to do that without AI.
Do you use that too if you're responding to somebody else's post?
It's like, I think ChatGPT is quirky and funny, but I'm always going over it with a human touch, because I post every day, but let's say you post 5 days a week, then I think it's a great strategy just to understand.
How should people not get burned out?
Welcome, Charlie.
Thanks for having me, Michael and Alton. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. Now, is this the real Charlie or is this AI?
So many people ask me that question, but I can confirm this is the real human here.
Right. We're going to need some sort of proof of life in the future. I don't know what that's going to be built on, so that somebody could really, be sure as the advancements keep happening. So, awesome. Yeah, I did hear of one a while back where somebody was at the beach, but they were using an actual AI they created back at home, but I forget what tool they were using with it, so that it actually, sure, it was out of sync, but they had just claimed they were having the internet, issues with that. But it appeared, because of the way that they are talking, was still rooting back to their AI version of them, that they were at that location, even though they were hanging out on the beach. So, yeah, there we are. So you're probably somewhere else right now. We don't even know it. So, all right, well, dive into it here. You've obviously embraced and gone, big with the idea of how you can leverage, AI with content creation. And I think it's huge because, as I've seen a lot of just the resources you put out there for how people can do it, it can be overwhelming for some. Sometimes it's because they get the imposter syndrome and it's like, oh, am I creative enough? Can I do this? But oftentimes it's time. People struggle to be able to do so. And, you've managed a way here. Well, yeah, somebody still needs to at least have a sense of what they're doing, but leveraging these tools to really, help. I think about it like the motorcycle where you have the sidecar, at least in this scenario, it's like that sidecar is the AI really helping, that individual create great content. So I'd love to hear what has led you to go all in and focus on this?
On AI and LinkedIn, well, ultimately, I wanted just to escape the 9 to 5 life. Like, I was tired of being employed, and I saw LinkedIn and AI as a massive opportunity to escape it.
Nice.
That's a good start.
Yeah. And then how has that gone for you? How has that worked?
Oh, super well. Yeah, I quit my 9 to 5 in September 2024, and I'm building a thriving LinkedIn content agency with a heavy focus on AI, as you've seen in my content. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Love it. And then how long from the time that you started did you actually end up getting to the point where you quit?
So I started kind of semi-started in October 2023, but all my posts were failing and just posting into the void. And then on January in 2024, I went all in and started posting every single day on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. So then...
And was it AI even back then?
Of course. Yeah. That was like the heyday of AI on LinkedIn. Yeah. Everyone was obsessed with it. Now it's kind of, petered out a bit, but it's still very trendy and popular.
Sure. And with that, then at that point, would you say that AI's helped to make your content better over time? Or do you think that, the core skill that you still have coming at it from a copywriting perspective has really been key for you? Like, what was your background before this?
Oh, well, my background's marketing. That's what I studied at college. And, I'm a through and through marketer. But yeah, I've got better and better every month. If I look back at my content from 9 months ago, I kind of, feel a bit sick. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So it's, a bit of 50-50, me getting better with AI, but also just committing to continuous improvement.
That's great. I think that's important for people to hear though too, because once more, again, we get in our way. We're comparing, what our content looks like today to what somebody like your content looked like, who's put in obviously a lot of reps, but at the same time, those early reps allowed you to still quit your job and be where you are today. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, do you have some favorite ways that you like to leverage AI?
Well, my favorite is, generating images and also copywriting, those two specifically, graphics and copy. I sucked at English at school. Like, it was my least favorite subject. So that just changed the game for me. I've become a way better copywriter now. Like, even when I write a storytelling post on LinkedIn, I don't think I would be able to do that without AI. It just, helps me flesh out all my ideas just by voice prompting. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. And do you mainly do it through voice prompting or versus typing?
Oh, I mean, I try to voice prompt as much as possible, just go on my mobile app and then copy and paste. Because I'm on Mac, I can just easily put that onto my desktop. And most of the time.
Do you use any tools? Like, I know I've seen some like Super Whisper, and I've seen some others where you can collect it and it'll basically even just take your thoughts and turn them into organized, posts directly for you. Have you played with any of those yet?
I haven't played with that tool specifically, but like the new ChatGPT task feature, I have a new skincare routine, and I just put it into the voice prompt, voice to text, and then it made like all this scheduled tasks for me, and it reminds me every day because of it. Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome.
I keep telling myself I need to try it. I still haven't tried ChatGPT task. Have you, Michael?
Very basic, not enough to say that I'm any expert on it. Mine was create a summary for me of this type of thing at this time. Like nothing like actually what you just said. I'm like, you're moving us into that point where in the future it is going to be our little companion buddy who's got us, helping us through each part of our day, helping us make better decisions. That's awesome. Mm. And now it's not at a point yet where it's judging you then, like, and taking a picture of you and telling you what how you're doing with your skincare routine, is it?
No, not yet. I mean, I don't have the real-time video access yet, but I've seen that they're rolling that out slowly. So within the next few months, I think so. I got ChatGPT to roast my LinkedIn profile. And to be honest, it wasn't that great. I still think humans are better in that regard.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And it's this balance. And right now, it's one of the most frustrating things on LinkedIn. You can't tell as much anymore and this could be anywhere, but you can't tell as much. Well, you still can. But the content for the posts themselves is a lot better. But I tell you, the comments, I go through these comments half the time on there and I'm like, oh my gosh, these comments here all seem like they were written by, somebody just copied it and said, quick, provide me a response back. And I read them all the time. I'm like, that's not what they were really thinking. It doesn't sound human enough. So maybe we start there because I think you use it probably in that regard too, right? I think I've seen some posts where you've talked about some people who may want to leverage ChatGPT in comments. Do you ever use it there?
For writing comments on LinkedIn. Yeah. For my own pinned comments, they call it.
Yeah.
That's kind of technical jargon, but for LinkedIn, but it's basically comments on my own post. I have this my own custom GPT, which is available on the GPT store. Nice. And essentially you just upload your graphic and then it'll provide you with a range of comments that you can leave on your own post. Yeah.
It's funny because when I was going through and looking at your post yesterday, I noticed that I'm like, he's really good with these pinned posts and I like what he's written. So that's actually great. Now, what about commenting on other posts though, or responding to people's comments? Because do you use that too if you're responding to somebody else's post?
I mean, I'll use it to provide suggestions. Like, I think ChatGPT is quirky and funny. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm quite silly on LinkedIn. So I enjoy that aspect, but, I'm always going over it with a human touch. And sometimes, we're drained and we don't really have the brain juice to think about something creative. So in that instance, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I think what you just said is also important. And probably that difference between, again, sometimes the quality of those responses I'll see from folks. I think people who just take whatever is given to them and post it in there, I think that's where people familiar enough with ChatGPT or any of the, chat tools can acknowledge and see it. I know Art and I talk about it all the time. It's like, oh yeah, that one was it. You still appreciate that somebody made a comment that maybe helps your thing with the algorithm or whatever it is, but you're like, oh, come on, we could do better than that. But again, I wouldn't be able to tell, I think it's quality of the prompt and it's the person of how they're looking at it and how they're engaging with it. So I'm actually curious, people who are trying to use AI now, are there common mistakes that you're seeing that they're making?
Well, I mean, obviously treating it like a magic wand, like you alluded to, just, generating a comment and then simply posting it on LinkedIn. That is some bad use of AI. It's way more nuanced than that. again, like you said at the start, it gets us 80% of the way there, but we really need to refine and make sure it sounds like us, because what's the point? Otherwise it's just going to go into the sea of this AI generated copy, which doesn't stand out.
And so I'm curious then for you, what areas are you currently leveraging, again, whichever of the tools we want to say, but AI when it comes to content creation?
So I'm using it in a variety of ways. I still rely on humans to create a lot of the graphics, the carousels, infographics, etc. But for like the content briefs, because I run like a content agency, and to manage all the client's content on top of my own, that's very time consuming. And without AI, I wouldn't be able to do it. So for each client, I build a custom GPT and provide it with a ton of contextual information about them, like their complete career history. And then I'll use the same kind of chain of thought prompts, write a viral post on the attached. Can't remember exactly, but then also leveraging the PASS framework, problem, agitate, solution. And I find that's like the best AI copywriting code pilot for me and my clients. Like 9 times out of 10, it will produce the perfect copy. So there's a lot of custom GPTs. Yeah. But also, ideogram's one of my favorite for generating visuals. I don't know if you've played around with it.
I have. Yeah. I like it as well. Yeah. And I think it was that one I saw you recently playing with. Is that the one where you did the camera creation, or maybe that was one of the other tools I saw you post?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. I like it too. I might have even found it because hearing you speak about it at one point or another, but the quality is definitely, there's this reality to it that I really like that you can get, but you could also get a whole variety of others. So,
Charlie, how knowing that AI is used to generate content, some do it better than others, and then AI is used to read and comment on it. How does that inform your strategy of how to go about this content? Because obviously you have a very specific reason why you're creating content, because it's feeding your business. So what's your strategy there, knowing that there might just be robots talking to each other on both sides?
What do you mean, like in the comments and in the?
Yeah. I mean, how do you try to get your ideal customer to actually pay attention versus them? Oh, I'm just doing it to meet my quota of commenting and not really paying attention.
Sure. I mean, I think that's where the real personal brand side of things comes out, just being quirky and authentic, as cliche as that might sound. But, that's what I really embrace on LinkedIn. I see a ton of people just use a crappy AI generated image and then also some crappy AI generated caption. So in that, I avoid that as much as possible. So I think it's the graphics are the real scroll stopping aspects there. I mean, I don't really even read the content on LinkedIn, like the actual words, because everyone's skimming. They're not actually, I mean, some people like to have in-depth reads, but I personally just, click see more if it really intrigues me. So it's, I'm not sure how exactly, but I mean, obviously editing heavily and just ensuring that the graphic and, the hook and the second line of text are really, captivating and encourage people to engage with the post.
So I'm actually curious, for you on your own LinkedIn content, how much time do you spend each day?
So I probably spend the mornings creating my clients' content, and then in the afternoons I'm having meetings and working on more business development side of things. Yeah. So it's quite hard to quantify, but maybe 20 to 30 hours per week.
Okay, got it.
My clients, so not just mine.
How much is just yours of that? I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Probably
because that's what people see. People don't know what you're doing for your clients, technically, right?
Probably like 5 to 6 hours, 8 hours.
Okay. Per week?
Per week, yeah. Because even on my come up through LinkedIn, I was working full time, so I didn't have the time to create content and post every day. So I dedicated the mornings on the weekends to creating the weekly content, just batch creating that all in one.
Nice. Now, are you one of those who is on commenting, once you post every single day, or do you put it on like a just automatic, drip out delivery?
What do you mean? An automatic delivery?
Like schedule it. Do you schedule your posts, or do you actually make sure that you're on at the time that you post, engaging with people?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Like I have to be on at least half an hour before, and then around.
Okay, you are doing that.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I'm a bit weird with the scheduling because I schedule my posts, but then I click post now 15 minutes before the scheduled time because there's loads of hearsay about like scheduling.
I know what you mean though. That's pretty funny. And it still at least gives you a deadline because you've set it off. And if you don't do it, it's going to go on without you. So you're kind of forced to do it. That's great. I've done that a couple of times. No, and I'm just curious too, when you mentioned those number of hours, it makes sense for everything that you're doing as part of the agency. But like, you know, when we've had guests on like Laura or Yasmin Luke talking about theirs before, like they spend a lot of time early on in the days, like they could be immersed by it, especially I remember, Laura even talking about like, when they were trying to build up, their profiles. So, but it's really interesting now because I think what you've been able to do within that short amount of time with that very focused time does, I still think, show to the folks out there who think, oh man, can I do, what some of these other creators have done? You don't have to. You're a proven example of smarter ways that you can, let's say smarter. I'm not calling those other guys not smart. Come on, guys. Times have just changed. That's all I'm saying.
No, definitely. I mean, I had like an advantage, understanding graphic design before. I think that really kind of, that's why all these people are marketers, like Lara, Luke, Yasmin, even like they have a marketing background. So I find those type of people tend to succeed on LinkedIn because they've got that creative side of things.
That's a good point. So then I'm curious now, you have a newsletter that you, in that newsletter, is it generated mainly heavily using, you laughing, you can finish my sentence. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, 100%. So I was running a LinkedIn newsletter called Martech AI for around 9 months. And it was all AI generated completely. It was like a news bulletin style roundup. And I have this mega prompts, which essentially I just input some URLs of articles and it'll provide a whole summary of those selected stories of the week. And that was my first newsletter. I decided to stop doing it because one, the engagement wasn't that great on LinkedIn. It also took a lot of time to create by myself. So now I do run another newsletter, which is more personal and it's held on Substack. And I do have a custom GPT for that, but I'm always, heavily editing it.
I got it.
Because like you've got to, no one wants to read 100% AI generated newsletter, do they?
Yeah, no, that's fair. How what's that newsletter called?
It's called Martech AI as well, but it's
that's what I thought. Okay, that's why I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I've got two, one on Substack, one on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn as well, you can't collect email addresses. That's another reason. Yeah. It's not an owned audience, is it?
No, right. Yeah. Okay. So then for you, when you talk about these, in-depth prompts that you're writing, do you normally look for existing prompts that others that are out there, and then do you modify them, or are you just creating all of yours from scratch?
No, I wish I could create them all from scratch. That would be impressive. So there's a GPT that I've used, which really helps. It's made by Ruben Hassid. It's called Prompt Maker.
Yep.
And it's, game changing for me. That actually helped me develop that newsletter prompt, which really kind of started to, create credibility within the AI marketing space for me. I think, people actually started to notice me when I devised that prompt. It was kind of, tandem 50-50 human and the GPT I mentioned kind of co-creating it, because I had a baseline prompt, which I then just elevated using the prompt maker because it knows all the best practices, like the take a deep breath at the end, and also the chain of thought prompting and all that, best practices.
So in this scenario, then you'll go in, you'll leverage that tool to help you create the prompts that you then leverage as part of your workflow.
Yeah, 100%. I've got so many custom GPTs at this point that I just use for absolutely everything. And most of the time I'm using Prompt Maker to help me elevate them.
Craft it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah.
How long does it take you to build a custom GPT?
Well, not long at all. So even, for example, this morning, one of my clients wanted a specific type of illustration on the front of their carousel covers. It was like a watercolor style graphic. And I quickly, in like 30 minutes, an hour max, put together this GPT, which will then create prompts to input into ideogram and create watercolor style graphics to input on the front cover of carousel. So yeah, I can turn them around in no time now. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'm curious then too, because like the process for people who haven't built any of these, the prompts, not the personal one, yeah, the GPTs. But is there a name for the ones that you make yourself?
Custom GPTs.
Custom GPT. Thank you. So for those, like, what's the process look like?
So I mean, it's very, very simple. I guess you just simply click on, explore GPTs and then select create in the top. Yeah. Then it'll just ask you for a title, which can be anything. And then instructions. That's the most important part, is that instruction box. So yeah, I will, input a very simple instruction into the prompt maker and say, I need a GPT to create ideogram prompts, which are in watercolor style, in these hex codes. And that's it. It's like, a few sentences, and the GPT will create, the GPT to create the GPTs is a bit, meta, but it will provide the first draft, and then there's probably around 3-4 rounds of iterations before I get to a good place. And I really have to copy individual sections rather than the whole thing, because I find if you copy the whole prompt and keep putting it into the prompt maker, then it will only degrade and get worse, actually.
I wondered that. I've played with some before and I felt like that might happen. Okay, interesting. And then when you mentioned building some of these for your customers, are you basically training it on their specific business or data? Like, are you taking this prompt that you've generated and then are you modifying it basically with information about their business so that it's then generating outputs based around that, or how does that work?
Sure. So, I mean, it really depends. There's an onboarding questionnaire when they'll provide me their preferences, in their writing style, etc. But I honestly ask Perplexity to tell me about them most of the time, and it will provide a very comprehensive summary, like what university they studied at, how much money they've made sometimes. And I'll just chuck all that information in paragraph format into those custom GPTs. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. And then are you giving them access to those custom GPTs, or are you just leveraging to create the information and then handing that over to them?
I'm just using it. It's kind of like the intellectual property, I'd say. So I'm keeping that to myself. But for coaching clients, I will create a GPT for them and give it to them to help them create, because that's very much done with them. I'm not doing it for them. So I want the best success for them. So I don't mind giving it to them in that instance.
Sure, that makes sense. That's the access they're paying for in that scenario. That's crazy. That's awesome. Okay, so then you are leveraging, I heard some of these AI tools that you mentioned that are part of your stack. So ChatGPT, Perplexity, Ideogram. What else are you using regularly?
So Claude sometimes. I find it's quite effective. Like we had a ChatGPT outage today. I don't know if you experienced it. But
no, I wanted to know what to do. I wasn't on yet.
Yeah, I mean, it was 12 p.m. UK time, so it might have been early morning for you guys. Yeah. But it was stress for 2 hours. I was what do I do?
I hit that a couple of weeks ago when they had that, and I'm like, well, what do I do? Where do I go? I
had no idea. So I had to switch over to Claude for a bit, and I actually found it was better in some regards. I was surprised. I think many kind of very much underutilized and underrated. So it's just even I remember when I was leaving my 9 to 5, I asked Claude a question because my previous employer they were interested in my services, and I was thinking about using a time sensitive offer, and Claude was like, no, don't do that. That's not smart. That's insensitive. Whereas I don't think ChatGPT would even think about that.
How interesting! Yeah,
it's way more ethical and grounded in humans in some weird regard. But besides that, the video side of things, I'm using V.io. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
But they've got so many tools. It's crazy. Avatars. But it's just really easy to use. And they've got a really cool magic cut feature, which just removes all the bad filler words and R's, all of that. And also Opus Clip as well to clip long form into short form.
And when you're using that for long form, what type of long form content are you using?
So for podcasts like this, just upload and also LinkedIn Lives too. I've been doing a few of those, and it makes great posts.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you think about the quality of the Opus clips? Because Michael and I tried it and we were like, we're not sure these are the best clips here. So we stopped using it.
Yeah. Because for a podcast, we felt like it couldn't, like, it might not be a 1 minute clip that you want, because by the setup of the question, by getting to it, like sometimes podcasts just are a little bit more, I don't know, not filler, but it doesn't get to it as quickly. It's not scripted to get to it as quickly. So we struggled with it.
That's interesting. I mean, I think they've got a feature when you can select don't clip, and like if you just select a section. But I totally hear what you mean. Sometimes it does miss the mark, and you think, hang on a minute, there was a nice segment just before the bit it clipped. Right. Why didn't it include it? But I mean, in my experience, it works very well. So maybe the Opus clip just doesn't like you, and
no problem. Well, I guess we'll make this will be the test, is we'll create some shorts from this one with, the team we leveraged for shorts. And then we'll look at what you end up with Opus, creating some, because we'll provide it and we'll see what's out there. No, I mean, truthfully, it's been a little while since we used it, and just as fast as things advance, maybe it's worthwhile again. But okay, so we interrupted you there. So that was the other one, Opus. You said VidIO before that. Do you use any of the actual, not virtual people, whatever you call them? Do you ever leverage any of those that VidIO has?
What, the avatars?
The avatars, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've used Synthesias, I've used Vids as well, but I don't really have a real use case for them at the minute. The only one I could think of is like training. If I wanted to make a clone of myself and somehow, I don't know, that's a bit weird, to be honest. So no, to be honest, I'm not using them.
Yeah, I've thought about the same thing, actually. For now, I have a partner on another business where we do marketing for short-term rentals. And part of me is like, well, we're about to put together this short thing that's actually around leveraging AI for it. And I'm like, would that be less weird if I used her by taking all the videos to do it that way? Because she's busy. It makes it faster. My partner in the business. So I'm like, maybe there is a way there. But I notice when Ruben does it, sometimes I'm like, you don't notice if you're a little further away, but you do know. As soon as you look closely, I feel like it's lip sync, if anything else, where I actually run into the issues more than, as long as there's not a lot of movement, I don't think you see it as much, but he's using in a lot of the videos I know he posts, right now, but people expect that from him because he's AI. Yeah.
100%. That is a really smart strategy. He's posting twice per day to LinkedIn, and one in the morning of his AI avatar sharing industry news, which is very current and interesting. And he's generated 65 million impressions in like 28 days, something along those lines.
Amazing.
It's crazy. Just from those videos, because the video reach is next level. I'm noticing the static posts, the graphics, the carousels, etc. They're all struggling. Like, it used to be way easier to generate a lot of impressions from that content type. Now the videos just have this weird boost, like 2 to 3 days after you posted them. So I'm seeing videos reach 100,000 impressions without much engagement. Like,
interesting.
It's strange.
Yeah, that was their attempt. They're like, when TikTok was going to get canceled, they're like, that's it. We're the next TikTok. Let's push it now. Yeah. Art and I have actually, our experience sometimes with the video hasn't been as strong. We still find that whatever reason, people seem to respond to the ones where it's a, thoughtful post with the picture of, ourselves or, Arden's had some a lot, like recently with family as he came back from a trip. And it's like, for whatever reason, those posts seem to, hit sometimes more than, the videos on at least our end, which is,
I do want to ask a question about the videos though. Is it specific to 9:16 videos, kind of the whole shorts feel? So if you post a regular video, traditional, do both of them get that type of boost, or is it only the TikTok style long vertical videos?
Yeah, it's a weird one. So I was under the impression that the 9:16 aspect ratio was an absolute must because that's the LinkedIn video feed style. But I recently posted a 1x1 square video, and it did very, very well. It's on like 50K plus impressions, and grew a ton of followers because of it. But yeah, the ones that I've noticed get a weird boost are those vertical videos, and I assume that's down to it qualifying for the video feed. I even have a friend who generates like 1 million impressions on some videos, and it's wild.
Wow.
So yeah,
interesting. And for you, is most of when you do have videos and like that, are you mainly using those on LinkedIn, or are you also building out other social channels?
I'm trying to, but it's so hard on the other ones like Instagram. I don't understand how they work nearly as much as LinkedIn. I tried on all of them to do personal branding, even like 2-3 years ago, and it just wasn't the same stickiness as LinkedIn. So slowly, I'm just very much trying to convert the LinkedIn traffic to Instagram. I have plans to start YouTube later down the line.
Okay.
But yeah, slowly.
Yeah. No, interesting. Cause I've seen some of that. I've seen some people and there's a lot of, hate on LinkedIn these days too, for some people who are just like, you know what? No, LinkedIn is, changed, or people don't like some of the things that are getting prioritized, such as maybe video, cause they're not video people. But ironically, their answer to it is to head on over to these other video platforms to, try to build out, something over there. It's like, I hate that you're making me do it here, but I'm going to go do it over, here on this one. Or X obviously becomes, the most, I think, like to LinkedIn from just a posting without needing the video historically anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I heard it interesting. Someone made a prediction that, every company will become a media company, in the next 5 years. So investing in video content, and that's how you're, grabbing the attention and, keeping eyeballs on your brand ultimately.
Yeah.
So we have to somehow. But yeah, I'm on Threads as well. I mean, X, I'm a bit, don't really understand it either. So
yeah, that's how I've been on it. What about Blue Sky? Is it Blue Sky or Blue Sky?
Deep Sea? What's Blue Sky?
No, Blue Sky. It's basically the former Twitter founders' new one that they're actually trying to create. Yeah. So that's another one. It's supposedly one of the faster growing. I don't know. Anyway, there's too many to keep track of. I think it would be more similar to what Threads is. It's trying to be Twitter again, but now it's like, okay, Twitter's X is looking like something else. This is what he wanted to build back in the day instead, and now they're trying to build it out with one more social media platform. So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. I heard Elon Musk say that he wants to bring Vine back to X.
I miss Vine so much. That stuff was next level.
No, if Vine didn't go away, who knows if TikTok would have ended up quite where TikTok was, because Vine could have easily evolved and continued to be something, like to me with what it was and the type of stuff maybe it's just I'm showing my own user behavior. The type of stuff I watch there is also the type of stuff I'd watch over there. But yeah, that's so interesting that it went. I like Vine. Yeah. How I discovered magic tricks and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So another question. I know we focus a lot on content, and there's a sort of tail end of content, creation that a lot of people don't think about and probably wouldn't even consider it in the content creation bucket. But Art and I, coming from the operation side of it and very much appreciating the data side, which you can get, after your content gets out there and performs, like you have a way, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're leveraging AI to also analyze some of LinkedIn performance and really try to, I assume you're using it to determine what you should be doing more of or less of, but how are you using AI and analytics?
Yeah, so that post that you're referring to, it's like, my top performing post ever has got, around 500,000 impressions.
Crazy.
Yeah, and like 2.5K likes alone. So really
amazing.
Popular. And the reason why is because LinkedIn analytics suck. They're quite limited in what you can actually see. There's like a cutoff with the amount of posts you can actually see, and you can't. Yeah, it's so limited. So what I do, I don't use it as much as people might think. Like it makes a great post, but I think ultimately, if you're unsure what days to post on, because I post every day, but let's say you post 5 days a week, then I think it's a great strategy just to understand what days are driving the most engagement. And to do it, you simply just, select a date range on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just by clicking your impressions. Like everyone has access to this now since they made creator mode available for everybody. Whereas previously you had to have like LinkedIn Premium or enable it. So yeah, you just select a date range, export your data. It's in the top right. You need LinkedIn Premium for that actually. And then, it's very simple. I literally upload it to ChatGPT and say, what day is the best for me to post on for impressions and follower growth. And since they've got the graph feature, which came out like 6 months ago, it can visualize the data. and I'm a very
That's
visual
awesome.
person. So yeah, it just like, brings it up instantly. But I'm like a addict to the analytics. So I'm checking that every day. So I have a strong overview of what's happening. But yeah, I think it's a smart strat if you're unsure about what
That's
day
great.
to post.
Now, when you use the analytics every day, though, you're saying those are advanced analytics that you're paying for, or those are what's out of the box with LinkedIn?
Yeah, no, I'm just using the out of the box stuff every day. I'm just
Okay. That's what I thought you were saying as you pull it. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible, because I know for me, it's like I always love seeing the data and reacting to data, but I hate the process of trying to actually pull the data in a way to make like to put it into the spreadsheets in the past to be able to get to the output that you want. So it's amazing, that you can leverage AI in this way to just give it to it all and say, help me out. But I assume you have a pretty thoughtful prompt to use for that too, or not? Or is
it's
it
not
really
that
simple?
thoughtful. No, it's just, what day is the best day of the week for me to post to get follower growth and impressions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's the main way that you're using it right now, or do you ever actually have it go and look further about like the type of content that have that's performing and actually analyzing it further than that, or can you go that far?
Yeah. So I think the issue with the export is that it doesn't, due to LinkedIn, it doesn't actually like assign the content type.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Got it. Okay. But that's a great use case in general. It's a question people have a lot of time when it comes to just the posting. And
it's clever. It's clever. I had never considered pulling set of data and giving it to ChatGPT and asking it, analyze it for anything. But it's so clever.
Yeah, and even Claude's better at that, I think. I've tried it in both, and it's just way more interactive, the graph element. But yeah, most people it doesn't even cross their mind.
Yeah, no, it's very clever. I already have like 5 use cases in my head. I'm going to try it after this. It's pretty amazing.
So, Charlie, another thing I'm curious about, you had mentioned, I think, when we look at that data, and maybe you're not getting the answers to this, but for you personally, have you found that carousels versus posts versus pictures versus video performs better for you with your market that you're focused on?
So yeah, 6 months ago, carousels were king for me. They were generating 50,000 plus impressions on most posts. Now it's a struggle. Like since the video feed, it's cannibalized a lot of these static images. So I pivoted to infographics, and even then, they still struggle. LinkedIn's really reducing organic reach slowly but surely. I guess obviously to encourage people. I'm not sure whether it's them doing it purposefully or it's from more competitive, it being more competitive, more people being on the platform. It recently crossed 1 billion users globally. So that could be a factor, I think. But yeah, it's very strange, I never know which post will do well. And it's typically always the ones which I think will do worse, do the best, and vice versa, which is annoying. I guess obviously I build up expectations that this post is going to do really well, and then when it doesn't, I'm kind of a bit sad about it. But honestly, I think I'm just going to invest in more videos. I've been doing 1 per week. Now I'm going to up that to 2 per week. Maybe, who knows, like soon we'll see 5, 7 per week. Yeah,
Interesting. That's good. Now when you create your content, are you batching creating, or are you doing them? I know, again, I'll go back to Yasmin, who's like, I'll just, quickly bust out a post real quick, like, at the start of my day, like he doesn't pre-plan any of it. But for you, do you take that approach, or do you take I'm going to create all of my content at one point at the start of the week or the month or something like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, for clients, I batch create a month in advance, just so I can stay ahead of the schedule. But mine's way more ad hoc, and I try to go week to week. Sometimes I've gone day to day, which for me, that stresses me out. I need to have in advance the graphics, everything put together, because I'm week to week ideally. But if you saw my Notion dashboard, it's full of like so many content ideas in production. So yeah, it's kind of, it changes. Changes a lot.
So you just tossed that other tool out there, Notion. So Notion's another one that's part of your regular toolkit. Anything else that we've left off so far between all the ones that we've said?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm using EasyGen as well. It's Ruben's tool, which is the one post generator. And yeah, it does a great job. I very much combine ChatGPT outputs with EasyGen outputs, and because I've got my custom GPT, and then EasyGen understands me because it's got the qualifying questions when you're onboarding. And then, it's because sometimes I find it's good to, blend those two. And I just treat EasyGen as a canvas to just format my posts because it's got like the preview feature. And like it's simplistic, but effective.
Nice.
Yeah. For a lot of things you kind of mentioned already. One is just not knowing which content type is going to do good. The ever-changing LinkedIn landscape of trying to keep up with the algorithm, you see a lot of people burn out and kind of stop. They might be in it for 6 months and then all of a sudden you never even see their name again. What would you say is maybe your advice or your trick, and how should people not get burned out?
It's quite hard because I feel like I've been quite passionate about my LinkedIn journey. When I started, I didn't have any expectations about what it might lead to. So I think when people enter LinkedIn and they want to generate X amount of revenue, and when it doesn't come right off the bat, they are obviously a bit disheartened and eventually burn out. I mean, even at my previous place of work, they quit LinkedIn 3 months in, when I was like, no, like please carry on, because it took me 3 to 6 months to actually start seeing real follower growth. And I don't think it will happen for everybody. I'm just quite lucky. I guess I've got supportive people in my circle who help me. But just, you have to be highly passionate about the content creation side of things. And if you're not, then, work with someone who is and outsource that.
Like you.
Exactly.
I love that plug. That was perfect.
No, but I think that's a really great point, because I think sometimes when people jump into it, I mean, look, Art and I, on our own route, as we've, jumped in, I think sometimes people do also these like they step in and then they step back out for a minute, and then sometimes that built enough of a callus or muscle and then step back in next time and do something a little bit better and a little bit different. Like they can build that up a little bit. But I think what happens a lot with anything is people go in excited, but sometimes they're excited about the outcome that they expect to get. And the challenge when they get results where the outcome doesn't come right away, suddenly it's like, forget this isn't working. And then they're on to the other shiny object, for lack of a better way to put it. So I think that consistency does become so important for people to be able to get there. But back to what you said, if you don't have the passion in general, that makes the consistency a lot harder. And, absence of those two, consistency and the passion for it, then you're basically setting yourself up for disaster. But if you still think of the outcome you want, you can still get to that outcome by hiring somebody who's obviously got the capability to continue to do so, and fills their own, not pressure, but because they're getting paid, they're now on point for that. So I think it's a really good point that too many people overlook when they decide to try to do it themselves to save time and a buck, and then don't actually ever do anything because they give up too soon.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg, I think, to be honest, like the posting of the content. Like we spoke about engagement beforehand. There's also like tons of DMs you have to do like every day. It takes me an hour to go through my DMs. And it's like, I'd rather spend my time elsewhere.
Right. That's fair.
And if you're a CEO, founder, a busy business person, then you do not have the time to do that all.
Yeah. How's that actually work on your side now? Because if you're doing this content for others, are you or somebody from their team the one that's then on engaging and commenting? Do you actually do that on their behalf?
Oh, maybe? No. No way. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't do that, of course. I mean, I started off doing it for the first client, but now I work with like teams of people who support me. Like they each get a dedicated virtual assistant who like really learns the voice, which sometimes people criticize virtual assistants on LinkedIn and how it should be the real person. But if it helps achieve your goals and objectives of scaling your personal brand, then I'm all game.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. In that scenario, do you actually help them find and train that VA to do it, or do they find a VA and that's who you partner with?
Oh no, I mean I provide the service.
You provide that. Okay, got it. Okay, that's great. So then. Curious there for you right now, for a lot of the work you're doing, is this mainly you solopreneur style? There's these VAs that are out there. Do you have anybody else on the team, or what's that look like for you?
Yeah. So I'm working with around 3 graphic designers, one copywriter, one video editor at a time, but I've been through a few of them.
It's hard. Yeah.
But I mean, right now, I'm getting, people really want to work with me. So they seem to give me a fair rate, which obviously can only help me. Yeah. So I guess it's still the one person business, despite there being, freelancers. Yeah.
Yeah. I get you. And then, how are you finding these, VAs or, the contractors, however you're leveraging? Where do you find them?
So they all reach out to me, the design side of things. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. They usually offer like a free trial because they want to work with me because I've got like loads of followers, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Exactly. You're like, sure, why not? Yeah.
Which is nice. But the VA team, that's my friend. He runs a virtual assistant agency. So he supplies a really good supply of people in that regard. Like I'm not going to run out.
That's good. You want to give them a plug? What's the agency? Or is it top secret?
That's not my secret. Like, honestly.
Yeah, fair. That sounds good. Okay, so then I'm curious too here, like as you look at what's been most difficult for you as you've got to the stage that you're at today, for others who are starting their journey on this, what advice would you have to offer them?
It's like we mentioned, don't have grand expectations. I think why I've succeeded on LinkedIn thus far is because I went in with zero expectations, and every time that an opportunity came in, I was just over the moon. I was like, oh wow, I'm actually believing in myself and betting on myself here, and that's why I just keep punching through the ceiling and going on and on and on. And also, be prepared for it to take 3 to 6 months before seeing any real traction or inbound leads, unless you're doing targeted outreach on LinkedIn and you're smart with Sales Navigator and those personalized DMs and really building relationships in there. Then you very well might be disheartened. And also be aware that people are like doing many dark arts on LinkedIn. There's like groups and like boosting mechanisms. Right. Yeah. Like, some of the big dogs that I compare myself to, which stupidly I shouldn't, they're all growth hacking so heavily. I mean, I'm 100% organic in my, personal branding content, but don't believe everything you see on the platform.
That's a great point. So with that then though, if anybody who's starting off today said, well, there's all these tools and I could use all these, but if I only could use one tool, what's that one tool that you would say to start off with?
Well, besides ChatGPT, and if you know how to leverage it right.
Because that's like a utility now. You're like, everybody just gets that. Yeah, that is fair. No.
It does everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, besides that, obviously, EasyGen would be a good option if you want to generate optimized LinkedIn posts, but there's still a lot of work when it comes to creating the graphics and everything else.
Fair. And then for anybody who listens to this and thinks either A, they want to learn more from you, or B, they want to just hand you their own work and say, do it, please, because everything you said sounds great. Looks like you got it figured out. How would they find you?
So, I mean, I'm posting everything I know on LinkedIn every single day. I'm also over on Substack with my newsletter, but I've also recently launched a course like a few months ago. And for $99, I think it's a steal, or that's what I hear from the people who have taken the course.
Yeah.
And it's me sharing everything I know about how to win on LinkedIn.
Awesome. That's great. And you launched that course when?
It was around October time. So it may be due an update sometime, but because courses become outdated quite fast. But it's
that's the challenge with any new technology. Yeah. No, the fundamentals are there. I believe it. I've run into the same thing with the course I did, but it's like the underlying fundamentals are usually there. It's just a matter of the new advanced technologies to apply.
Exactly. Like Justin Welsh's like LinkedIn OS. I think he still sells loads of them, and it's like 2 years old. So
yeah. I know exactly it. So great, Arten. Did you have any other questions?
No, I'm running off to try telling ChatGPT to analyze some data for me. That's my next step.
Awesome. Charlie, thank you so much. This is very useful. I know we're going to go and explore and do a little bit more with some custom GPTs that we haven't been taking advantage of yet. And again, can't recommend enough, the content that Charlie posts out on LinkedIn, super useful. As he says, he's, sharing everything he knows. It's definitely like, when you look at that, you're like, oh man, this is gold. And he breaks it down visually too, which again, for somebody like me, I really love that, being able to see it. But at the same time, I've also seen you go further and be like, here's the prompt I used for this, or here's this to this. So it's really great. So a lot of value. Highly recommend people jump on over there and follow Charlie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If anybody has additional advice on other tools that they are using, just drop them in the comments so others can see it. Or if you have questions yourself or Charlie or us, just drop in the comments and we'll get back to you. And then we'll see you everybody on the next episode.
Awesome.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.